Yeah, good news for the guys up on the moors who are fighting those fires. Now, before that, when an accident happens, it can be a race against time to save the lives of those who have been injured. The North West Air Ambulance can often get to hard-to-reach spots much faster than most 999 crews, but now they're hoping to save even more lives by their carrying of blood on board.
It'll mean, for the first time, they can give transfusions at the scene, which can drastically improve patients' chances of survival. Sarah Rogers has been to meet the team.
The North West Air Ambulance Service is returning from an emergency call as we arrive at the airfield. But they can now give the seriously injured a better chance of survival because in that little brown bag is blood. And for the first time in the charity's history, they can carry it on board the helicopters to perform transfusions at the roadside. This cool box, potentially, is someone's life.
There's a clock and those people were bleeding, and sometimes bleeding to the point where they were getting very, very sick, and some people weren't making it to hospital. Now we can hopefully extend the time that we can get people to these emergency centres, to the operating theatres to try and stop their bleeding.
Paramedics have been trialling this for the last month. Now this may be a drill, but so far they've performed 6 potentially life-saving transfusions. But it's not without its problems. It's quite warm in here though, and I know blood has to be kept at a certain temperature. Is that a problem?
It could be. We've got to be really careful about that blood. It has really tight, very, very narrow temperature limits. We have a data logger inside and it knows exactly what happens over the whole cycle of that blood to ensure that there's absolutely no risk.
With the charity flying 2,000 missions a year, it's estimated they will use 2 to 3 transfusions in the Northwest per week. And 40 minutes after their first call, they're off again. The team has just had an emergency call. They've taken that blood, 8 units of it. We know that they're heading out to a teenager. We don't know any more about the call than that, but they're prepared in case that young person does need an immediate transfusion. And this is already drastically improving care from the air. But it's only been made possible by another charity, Blood Bikes. Its out-of-hours service brings supplies to and from Salford Royal Hospital.
The volunteers, you know, the majority of them have got day jobs, so they'll get home and they'll be on standby, and 7 o'clock the phone could just go crazy, and we never know what it is and where we're going basically.
And blood that's not used within a day is biked back to the hospital to be used on patients there. From the donation of blood itself to the air ambulance and the bikes, this whole life-saving operation relies entirely on the charity of others. But it means that the sickest of patients can get the quickest and most vital care. Sarah Rogers, ITV News in Manchester.
Just when we thought they couldn't do their jobs any better, they come up with a new idea to make them even better at it.
Brilliant, brilliant stuff. Yeah, very selfless people too.